Thousands of young people across Europe are crazy enough to leave their country to come here in Brussels to work for the EU institution. But what does really mean to work for the EU bubble? From the 85 generalist competition to be an assistant of a member of the European Parliament. We will discuss all of this in a very special episode with our guest Matteo Brizzi. Do you want to tell us one specific moment in which you felt very proud of what you have done for the EU?
Drinking an espresso and going viral. I truly believe that the European Union is not done only in Brussels, but can be fostered and should be fostered in the small communities. The Erasmus is making sure that you are living a European life. Falling in love, dancing, living, studying, learning with European mates. Please focus on what is working. The Erasmus project is working. Invest double, triple on that. Let's move this EU together.
Today's guest, Matteo Brizzi, is one of the most famous EU influencers. He tries to make the EU accessible, simple and engaging, with an espresso and his association Young European Society. Today we are without an espresso, but with a lot of interesting facts. Matteo, welcome to Moving Europe.
Thank you so much. Let's move this EU together.
And you are one of the most, I would say, well-known EU influencer. For the audience, what does a new influencer do?
I believe two main things. To be an influencer online, so trying to really bridge the European institutions with the next generation of Italians and Europeans in terms of opportunities, in terms of directives, regulation, what the European Union is doing, and try to create a narrative which is youthful, which is dynamic and innovative. And the second part, which is the most important to me, the dearest to me, is to be an influencer on life. So try to shape the European Union with our small contribution, with activities, with gestures, with petitions, initiatives on the ground.
Mm-hmm. I think it's very much needed, no? A youthful approach in communicating the EU. Did you feel this gap when you started this work?
Absolutely. And that's maybe, unfortunately, I would say the key of my success, of the success of my Instagram pages, because the European institutions are, for now, not able to properly, directly, and simply communicate to young generations. Above all, in Italy, I felt a gap, and I tried to humbly fill that gap and try to create a connection between European opportunities and Italian next gen.
Yeah. And do you want to tell us one specific moment in which you felt very proud of what you have done for the EU? Like a small contribution that for you was super important?
Drinking an espresso and going viral. That's the beginning of my story, and it's quite Italian because the first video that I did actually last year was super spontaneous. I was in the bar of the European Parliament with nice caps with a European Parliament logo, and on the other hand I had my phone where I saw the vacancy for a Blue Book traineeship. So I said, okay, the coffee is nice, the background too, the European Parliament, let's try to make a video, and then we will see if I post it or if I make it in a story. And that video went viral with 500k views. Oh, so okay. Caffè Europa has become my most important social media activity, and yeah, it all started with drinking an Italian espresso.
Cool. It was your first video.
First video,
oh, wow.
First espresso
what an entry.
of many more.
That's cool. But also our first podcast video was 500 views. No, that's not true.
Not as many. But do you feel that in general you get very positive feedback for what you do?
I believe so. But at the same time, you start to be successful when you start to have haters. Not on Instagram, not when I'm sharing opportunities or when I'm doing Caffè Europa, but for instance, when I'm speaking about my more political activities, because I like to be also an influencer on life. I'm a city councillor back in my town. And on Facebook, I have some haters. When I post videos, reels, or carousels on the European Union, what is happening in Brussels, here it comes every fucking time the same citizen from Massachusetts, from my own town, saying, "What a waste of Italian money is that?" And actually, this is one of signals that I'm starting to
get some traction. But it's
some
every time the
success.
same person.
Every time the same person. Now we're friends, so it's fine.
Really, to manage.
Now, every time that person is actually quite dear to me, or vice versa. I had, of course, other haters, but the most outcomes are positive. I would say the most feedbacks are positive.
And did you change this person's mind? Does he vote now pro-European?
I think he will never vote pro-European, but I'm betting that actually in the city council he voted for me.
Ah, okay, that's not bad.
That's the most
It's
important
still,
thing. No, jokes apart.
And,
It's just the European Union which is dividing us.
And you are an influencer, but also a founder, no? Because you founded the Young European Society. You were one of the founder. Can you tell us more about this association? Your commitment there?
Absolutely. It didn't start with an espresso. It started with some alcohol, with a spritz.
Nice.
Yeah,
Always Italian, eh?
Yeah, always
I
so
love it.
Italian. Yes, because we were really 4 friends reunited together in front of a spritz in a bar before the European elections of 2019, and we said, okay, is it really possible that in such a small community as Massecozzile, Montecatini Terme, small villages in Tuscany, if we want to speak about the European Union, you need to do it by subscribing to a party, because that's the reality. And so we said, okay, let's create an open house, a European house, a youthful house, where you don't need subscription, but you need motivation. And you can get closer to European institutions. You can also shape European public debate in your own town without the need of that, without the need of parties. That's the idea.
Yeah, because I also think, like that communicating outside politics, the added value of the EU, is super important.
It is fundamental. Also, what you're doing here in Moving Europe, it's maybe a small grain. It's such a small contribution. Not so small, because you're having actually very, very important guests. But it's really an added value, complementary to what the 720 MEPs are doing in the European Parliament, or the Commission is doing at the highest level. Because yes, we did the European Union. Now it's time to do the Europeans, and it's up to us to do it.
Yeah.
It's up to us to foster a true European citizenship, not only in Brussels, not only in Rome, but in the small villages.
And I agree, but at the same time, like especially on social media, it's often the anti-European sentiment which prevails. So do you sometimes feel that we are, on the losing side of things at the moment?
We are on the losing side of things if we preserve and defend the status quo. If you start thinking and speaking about the dream of a United States of Europe, if you don't not only defend what the European Union is doing now, but project the future of the European Union, then maybe people will start saying, okay, it's true that the European Union right now is not working 100%, but if somebody is able to shape a different European Union, which is maybe the United States of Europe, then maybe if we are attacking and not defending, then maybe we might strike the goal.
What does it mean for you, the United States of Europe?
Exactly, that's very general, and so we need to explain it in each of the sectors, in each of the policy. Let's start, of course, from United European Army, which is not only invest in national rearmament, but also, and most importantly, rationalize the expenditures and make a true coordinated military effort at European level. And then, of course, also fiscal union. It's not possible that there are different tax systems at European level. And the European banking union. and a real European Union market, where, for instance, the recognition of diploma, of bachelor degrees, master degrees, it's automatic, unbureaucratic, and without any fees. It's not like this right now, guys.
Yeah, and there, I think the key challenge is really to communicate to citizens the added value of those things in their daily life, regardless, of their political view. For example, a fiscal union would help people that want to open a business in the EU to receive investments from all over the union, so more opportunities. Also, what you said, for example, having recognized diplomas means that you can study wherever you want, or you can continue your career wherever you want. So there, do you think is missing on the pro-European political party side this effort, like in translating very simply why a federal Europe is better for a citizen's life daily?
Absolutely, Chris. Just one simple example, which is maybe dear to many Italian expats. For now, as of now, if you study the bachelor or the master degree abroad, maybe in Brussels, or let's say not in Italy, you cannot subscribe, you cannot start the diplomatic career in Italy. Mm-hmm. But what if there is a true European diplomatic corps? This will change. Mm-hmm. Or in terms also of the tax burden, Italy, together with Belgium, is one of the most burdensome in terms of taxes, in terms of working taxes. Maybe if we do a proper fiscal union, then this will change. Mm-hmm. And this will affect the 30-day salaries of an Italian living in Massacozzile, for instance. Mm-hmm. Not only the people and the bureaucrats living in Brussels. Mm-hmm. So we need, of course, to dream big, single and unique European army, but also think local and think small in the daily lives of European citizens and what the United States of Europe could do for them, could do for us.
Mm-hmm. And thinking locally, like for example at the generalist competition to enter the European Commission, half of the candidates were Italian out of 27 member states. So you have been very vocal about it, which in my opinion reflects a bit the status of the country in terms of economic opportunities. Do you think like a federal Europe would also translate in a stronger Italy economically?
Absolutely. If 1 out of 2 candidates in the EPSO 85 competition is Italian, this is not a sign of European soul, maybe also that, but first of all, it's a scream of help. Mm-hmm. It's a sign that the Italian market is not properly functioning, that there is a generation in need of real opportunities, and this signal should arrive to Palazzo Chigi. This signal should arrive to the Italian government, and we did that with Young European Society, collecting 1K signatories, and we will try to meet Giorgia Meloni, the Minister of Work Calderone, and the Minister of University Bernini.
Mm-hmm. Good luck with that.
And I think Italy is not even the worst in terms of lack of opportunity and brain drain, because I think Lithuania, Greece, Romania very, very bad in terms of people just leaving and not going back after their education or after their work experience abroad. Do you think this brain drain problem is a logic consequence of the EU, or could there be an EU without brain drain?
There must be an EU with brain gain. There must be an EU able to attract talents from the United States, from the Asian countries, from all over the world, because the European Union, with our research system, with our high excellent universities, should be the best place in order to advance scientific leadership, startup innovation, and research. Right now it's not like that. Also in this side, the European Union should not defend itself, should not strive to, let's say, defend European researchers from global competition, but should actually attack and should try to make the EU the best continent in order to make research. In this sense, at the same time, you were asking, Theo, on a national level, also, for instance, speaking about Italy, Italy should not only preserve Italian researchers, but also try to be internationally attractive. That's the key aspect that at the same time will make also for Italian researchers the universities attractive. And also it's a matter, as Chris was saying, of salaries as well, because it's not possible that Italian researcher is paid 1K and a Finnish one is paid 3K.
Exactly, because in the end of the day, this is the problem, no? Like, even if Europe as a whole attracts skills from outside, from the US, from China, from wherever, these people go to the, to the member states with the best conditions. So some of the member states will still be fucked or like worse off. So I guess the question ultimately is, how do you distribute also within the EU so that everybody gets a piece of the cake?
That's why the United States of Europe is not only on a defense side, but also it's in the daily life. We need, for instance, a true European Research Union.
Yeah. And there, for example, an anecdote, when I joined the Blue Book, when I started, the salary of the Blue Book was the same exact salary of my job in Italy. And the Blue Book is a traineeship in theory. But anyway, regardless, that you mentioned the innovation aspect. Now, the top 10 companies across the globe in high tech, not even one is European. And on the AI race, we are very lagging behind. Do you think we are still on time?
We are still on time. On AI, of course, we are running really the last mile. But for instance, on quantum computing, we can be leaders. For work, even of course, I'm doing this podcast for on a personal side, on a personal note. For work, I'm dealing with Finland. Finland is one of the best countries in the world with quantum computing. The issue right now is that the European Union should really try to act European and invest on the quantum infrastructure which are working the most, and try really to focus on the projects which on a European scale can have a global success. You were mentioning, just a parenthesis, you were mentioning the Blue Book traineeship which is paid. In Italy, the traineeships in the institutions, in the Senate, in the chamber, in the government are not even paid. And that's what actually, by the way, we ask with Young European Society. Let's start trying to improve the Italian labor market, making the traineeships in the institutions paid. Yeah. That's a good beginning, which is also financially feasible. And then we will also deal with quantum computing. Let's start from that.
Step by step.
But to have this real, a European research union, to have the European level investment, do you think there is still hesitancy from the member states to block this because they still want to, preserve their own sovereignty? Or do you think there is willingness now to go for this solution?
I believe that there is willingness. The real problem is right now that the starting point is totally different. From a research and innovation point of view, Italy is starting under the table, Finland is starting on the rooftop, Belgium too. The starting point is different, and it's up to European Union to create a European research area whereby every member state can thrive, and whereby the European Union is targeting the needs and the challenges of each member state in a different way.
I'm just thinking about this recent news article that, France and Germany for many years now have tried to develop a joint project for fighter jets. And in the end, because both companies wanted to lead, the Germans cancelled it because they couldn't get together. So I think it's also a question of how much national champions are willing to collaborate with economies from other states.
I think that in this sense, Donald Trump is giving us the best gift ever, because he let us realize that either we act European or we lose Italian, German, and French.
Yeah. And I think there, like in this historic moment, not just Trump, but we have Putin's Russia and also the competition with China, the EU is really at an existential, crosspath. So do you think we will react concretely towards a federalist political approach, or we will even close more, looking at the recent polls indeed of far right in Germany, in France, and so on?
As a naive optimist and also on-life influencer, I will do all my best in order to fight for a federal solution. It's true that the European right now has some issues, and like this, it cannot be competitive with the global allies or enemies, let's call it. We don't even know right now in this multipolar and complex world how we can call our partners. Let's say partners. But I truly believe that either we go back to a European of nations, and that's the solution of the conservatives, or we go really full speed, full boost towards United States of Europe. But we need to make sure, and it's up also to podcasts like this one, to associations like Young European Society, to ensure that in the European public opinion, we understand and they understand that it's a solution, not a magic wand, but it's a solution, a process that is positively affecting daily life of people.
Exactly. I think it's a battle, no, in the end, like to convince people and the public opinion. It's really something that we are struggling. You cannot predict. You just need to fight and see, if you manage. And they're one of the most important topics that is being used by the conservative, and that is also fooling this anti-European sentiment is migration and security issues on a personal and also political level. Do you think this is a real issue or is being just exploited?
It's absolutely just exploited. The real issue of migration, which is it's immigration. It's the people leaving the European Union. It's the brain drain you were saying before. It's the people moving from the south of Europe to northern Europe. It's Italian universities which are not competing anymore, even if they were the basis of the Renaissance, with United States one, with Chinese one, with Korean ones. The real problem it's migration out of Europe, not migration in Europe.
Yeah, and indeed, if you look also at Italy's number, like in the end, are more the young people exiting Italy than the people entering, So anyway, but regardless of these, like political parties of the far right are really managing to drive consensus on this. What do you make out of it? Is just because they are mystifying realities, because they are better at communicating, because they communicate in a simple way?
They communicate to the belly of people and not to the mind. Of course, what is happening right now is also a kind of mismanagement of migration from the European Union, but because migration management is still national. There is no real proper, effective redistribution of migrants between the country of arrivals and all the other European countries, and that's the main problem.
And I also think one of the main problems is like a competition between communicating to the mind versus communicating to the belly. So how, for example, a pro-European force that wants to talk about facts, numbers, and things that are complex, be as simple to compete with people talking to the belly?
We need to be effective. We need to find ways, maybe also with an espresso, in an innovative way to be clear, concise, and also consistent with your position. So, as a center leftist moderate, what I will say if I will be, I don't know, a leader of a European party is saying, we need migrants, but at the same time, we need that migrants are respecting the European rules. If they're not respecting the European rules, then of course we will ensure that these migrants are getting out of the European soul.
You tried, I think, also yourself some innovative styles of communication. Just recently, you played chess with the commissioner for youth and culture. What did you guys talk about?
Many things. First of all, I will say how I fell in love with the European Union, which is falling in love with a European girl. And we were talking about Erasmus. We were talking about the added value, not only in terms of mobility project, not only in terms of education, but how the Erasmus is making sure that you are living a European life. Falling in love, dancing, living, studying, learning with European mates, with European students, colleagues, and maybe also partners.
Yeah, because sometimes in the end, politics is often discussed with technical figures and numbers, but in the end of the day, these programs, the social programs like Erasmus, can make the biggest difference.
Absolutely, and that's exactly where the European Union should focus on. If I could say something really to the European leaders, and I said it to Glenn Mikalev, to the commissioner, please focus on what is working. The Erasmus project is working. Invest double, triple on that.
Yeah, and I think we just had a couple of weeks ago another guest who said we have to quintuple the budget of Erasmus. It's not really what we are seeing now with the negotiated next budget. Why do you think they're not doing it?
Because the sheet is quite short, let's say, as we say in Italian. La coperta è corta, direbbe Draghi, Mario Draghi will say, but Mario Draghi will also say that Erasmus should be not a privilege for few students, but a right for all, and should focus above all on the European young generations which cannot afford European experiences, studying abroad. That should be the main target and the main focus of the European Union.
Yeah, and I also think the future of Europe will pass through culture at the end of the day, like through feeling European concretely, as you said, falling in love with a person from another member state, studying with people from other member states to really feel part of a whole concretely in your life. So it's quite, even if it's seen as something not so crucial, in the end it's a very important also political investment at the end of the day.
We are living, Christian, in a world of competitiveness, whereby this word and this policy is spreading all over the EU policy notes and agenda, but at the same time, the European civilization was made of culture. So at the end, let's get back to square one in order to jump.
Yeah, and from a person from Tuscany, culture for you is really is the center. And I think like
Sicuro.
Yeah, sicuro. And like you live half Brussels, half in Italy, no? Can you tell us more about that? Like how many days you are in Brussels, then you move to Italy every week? Or...
The real question is
jealous,
how many days I'm on a cheap Ryanair flight. That's the main question.
From Charleroi.
Exactly, absolutely from Charleroi. Zaventem, we leave it to the competitiveness people. Yes. But no, jokes apart, of course, my main town is Brussels. I'm living and I'm working full time here in an institution. And when I can, when work allows, I'm going back to Massa Cozzile in order to take care of my community, where I've been elected as a city councillor. Of course, I'm not paid for that. Actually, I'm paying for that because the just 2 flights are more than the annual contribution reimbursement that I'm getting. But I do it with pleasure because really, I truly believe that the European Union is not done only in Brussels, but can be fostered and should be fostered in the small communities. Yeah. And that's why, for instance, with Young European Society, for the 9th of May, for Europe Day, we didn't have the main celebration in Brussels, in Rome or Milan, but in Montecatini Terme, in a small town where citizens, families, children were waving a European flag all together, and that was such a fantastic day.
I wanted to ask you right in the beginning, this activity of yours as a EU influencer, is it possible to earn some money from that, or is it entirely on a volunteer basis for you?
For me, now it's possible to spend money out of that. I mean, I think it's possible to earn money, and for me, would be feasible, I believe, to earn some money. I had already some request of partnerships financially retributed, but from a ethical point of view, I don't want to get money out of it, because this is a political mission, not a professional gain, to really bring the European Union from Brussels to the Italian next gen. And of course, I don't want money for it.
And you're focusing in your activities mainly on Italy, or you're trying to expand also to some other member states?
In which sense, Theo?
With yes, so with your association, you're mainly doing content for Italians, right? Or you try to expand in the future maybe to other member states?
This could be an idea. At the same time, I believe, guys, that you cannot save the world, right? So let's start from somewhere. Let's start from Massacozzile, Montecatini, Tuscany, La Bella Firenze, and Italy. And it's already something. In terms of European scale, I'm also vice president of Young Democrats for Europe, which is the youth movement of a European party. And that, of course, the commitment is on a European level.
And we are also, like, coming back to the point of spending money. We are master of spending without earning any money.
I can imagine,
from these activities. So
can imagine.
We really relate to that. No, but I find super beautiful, you know, that you live in Brussels with such a big city full of internationals, one of the city with most nationalities in the world, and then you come back to this small town in Tuscany, you know, like, I think it's also gives you a different perspective.
It's just staying with feet on the ground in every sense, you know. It's really, don't forgetting that out of the European bubble, there is a life, and there is a community, there is a public opinion which needs answers from the European Union. And so the most important bridge, the strongest bridge, is the human one, the one that you can create, that we can create as influencer, as youth activist.
When you're reaching out to these young people, or when they reach out to you, what's the most often expressed wish they have, or what do they want from Europe?
Surprisingly, is to work for the European Union. So that means that it's not the majority of people hates the European Union. They want to contribute also professionally to the European Union. Maybe as Italians, because there are not many opportunities, let's be honest, in the Italian job market. Proper opportunities, fairly retributed, and not just doing coffees, but really trying to shape the European community. So they want to understand how to work in the European Union, or on the contrary, also some entrepreneurs, start-uppers, or volunteers in associations that they want to understand how to use funds from European projects, such as SERV or Erasmus or Horizon Europe, to do something in their hometowns.
Which I really think is an amazing thing, because, you know, like, the funds are what really goes on the ground. And at the same time, it's something so complex in a way that people are maybe a bit scared of it, no? So I think it's a good way to communicate that this is actually a way to get something out of the EU.
I will tell you a story on that. In my small municipality, I really push hard in order to have not only a European bench, which is something quite common now in Italy, to have a European bench in every city, but really a park dedicated to David Sassoli, the former European president of the European Parliament. In that park, which was inaugurated by many students, speaking about Sassoli, singing the European anthem, in that park we wanted to have and to develop a biodiversity project whereby also we can foster intergenerational dialogue between old people and younger generations. Long story short, there was a LIFE project. LIFE is a fund similar to Horizon Europe, but more dedicated to biodiversity. And we said, okay, let's go for it with a major and with the technicians in my municipality. Also because my major is quite good in utilizing projects. funds from the region, from at national level, from the recovery and resilience facility. We look into it, and it was the first time that we had to say, okay, Matteo, this is too complex. We cannot make it. So on that side, also a critic to the European Union, you need to make sure that the projects are truly available to small communities. Otherwise, it's a big deal. It's a problem.
Yeah. And you feel that these problems have been addressed a bit in the meantime, or it's still too complex?
For now, are still too complex. On that, I also had a nice conversation, not in front of a chessboard, with Commissioner Minzatu, the Vice President for Skills. She was attending a meeting with the EU local councillors, a network fostered by the Commission and the Committee of Regions, which I'm part of. And I didn't say how good the European Commission is or how nice the anti-poverty strategy that she just presented is, but I said, please, Roxana, make sure that European funds are reaching the small Romanian community from where you're from, and also maybe the Massa Consile, in the sense that really we need to ensure that these kind of projects are not only available for the big cities and the big communities, but also for the rural areas, which are the most in need.
And it starts, I guess, with information sharing, because also the people who work for the municipalities have to know that there is this possibility. They have to know how to apply. So there's a whole chain of communication that has to happen, that all the people know how to do it and to get the money in the end.
Absolutely. Information is the first. On my side, I'm created a newsletter, which is now signed up and seen by thousands of people and maybe many local councillors. Euro Opportunity, whereby I'm trying to share the European Union, which is going on, the European projects and funds which are available for communities. That's the step one. The step two is to ensure that these kind of projects can be really implementable in small communities, in towns where the human capital and the knowledge of European project management is maybe not great. And for now, we need to really work on simplification. That is the real simplification we need to do. Make sure that the European Union can go home in small communities.
Simplification of communication and of procedures, indeed. And I mean, you are managing to do a lot of things now. The newsletter, you influencer, the work at the Commission. How do you manage? It's impressive at the end of the day.
You said simplification, communication. I say another cation is programmation. It's really a matter of, first of all, prioritization. Work first, and then in my free time, I'm trying to see what is the most urgent thing and the most important, and also the most passionate, because I'm having fun to do this stuff. I'm having fun. So, and when you're having fun,
of course,
then you don't feel the fatigue.
Which music?
I would say house, tech house, or what I love is to remix Italian music on a house note.
But you're a DJ in Brussels or in Italy or both?
Mainly in Brussels.
Maybe here.
I also played in European institutions.
Oh wow, and I missed that. Okay. I missed at your birthday, probably you did a
birthday and also
that was a pity.
Some parties, I'm having fun.
We will hear you DJing sometimes
looking
around the
forward.
city. We will try. Well, I mean,
not moving Europe, but moving Europeans.
Exactly. Maybe for the new, I don't know to say in English, sigla. For the new intro, we put a music mix.
Good
work.
We have a deal.
Exactly.
That's a good one.
Well,
thanks a lot.
Well, thanks a lot, Matteo. It has been an amazing ride.
It was a pleasure for me, guys, to move Europe together.